Hey folks, we're back. So basically what happened was my internet died, and that caused Google Hangouts to freak out like 5 minutes after I came back for some reason. Um, that's a fact that you have to live with Google Hangouts sometimes, that it does weird shit. But anyway, we're back, and we're going to talk about ESL One Genting's controversy regarding their broadcast deal with Facebook. So, in case you missed it, when we talked about it in the last video, we're going to go over it. We're going to just start over on this topic. So, ESL One Genting, and I assume future ESL One events involving Counter-Strike and Dota 2 have a broadcast deal with Facebook Watch, which is Facebook's kind of up and coming, as far as up and coming as it can be when it involves the world's largest social media platform, their live streaming platform. And you okay over there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm responding to something else.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, so and he's here, by the way. M-Target's still here.
I haven't gotten rid of me yet.
No. So ESL One Genting was on Facebook Watch instead of Twitch. They had specific deals for specific languages, most notably English and Portuguese, since those are the two basically largest streaming languages.
Especially in Counter-Strike. Don't forget that this is for everything ESL, also known as Counter-Strike and Dota.
Yeah, and there is a sizable Brazilian scene for Counter-Strike, even if they're still trying to catch up in Dota 2. SK Gaming, great performance yesterday at E-League Major. But anyway, so they were on Facebook Watch, and there was a huge amount of controversy regarding that from fans and General Whiny Pants on Reddit. Mr. Complainy Pantses. So Facebook, yeah, Facebook in general is not really super well. Like, I'm not going to pretend that this is without, there's no. I'm not going to pretend that there's not a reason to complain, because Facebook Watch isn't really super well suited for any kind of video game streaming at this point. It doesn't have the right kind of FPS. It doesn't have as great integration into mobile as, say, a Twitch or a YouTube. Especially if you're using older devices, which is the case for me a lot of the time. Facebook apps tend to crash on old stuff a lot.
Yep.
So there is reason to complain, but there was a huge amount of backlash when ESL basically started doing takedowns of other streams on Twitch of ESL One Genting. And
before we get there, they had announced it. ESL said, hey, we made this announcement, blah blah blah. Dota fans didn't realize that this included Dota. It's like, hey, we are going to be broadcasting everything on Facebook, but what about Dota? What part of everything don't you understand? I don't know exactly. So that's a problem number one. Number two, day one was an absolute shit show when it came to production. And quite frankly, the problems that they had looked like problems they would have had on Twitch or Facebook, in terms of they just couldn't hit an ingest server. It was upload problems at their end. So that would have sucked no matter what. Problem is that all of those people that were whining, as he mentioned, about why can't we watch it on Twitch, decided to go watch PBD and Admiral Bulldog.
You sound a little bit crackly, by the way.
All right, 1 second. Let me.
Now you sound good.
Okay, then I won't. I'll just be right here on the mic. And so they, streamed, and ESL was not happy, and ESL, told them to stop, and they did, sort of. But then day two, ESL One was broadcasting, and I watched it on their website. I watched it on live.esl-1.com, which is where after day one, or even really day zero, every single tweet that I saw from ESL talking about the event linked to that website. And it has an embedded player in it for Facebook that had decent streaming quality. It might have been 720/30 that I was watching it at instead of 720/60, but I was also watching it on a crappy laptop, where that was fine. So it was a decent enough viewing experience, especially because I just popped that sucker full screen, and I don't miss that there's no chat, because really, who should miss that there's no chat? Problem is that you had, I don't remember his name, I respect the hustle, but some dude decided that he was going to stream it from the Dota TV directly competing with them. Maybe he didn't have ads, maybe he wasn't partnered, but he was pulling several thousand viewers. ESL saw this, and per Valve's latest statement, said that as long as that,
you sound crackly again.
okay, better.
No.
Okay, then let me just.
Now you do.
If you could do the Valve statement while I.
Okay, so Valve, this ties into Valve's previous statement, which they made back during the Star Ladder event, which basically was deliberately vague. Like you can tell that they really just want everybody else to sort this out amongst themselves, which isn't a bad idea since Valve doesn't really have a staff when it comes to dealing with Dota 2 broadcasting issues,
or any broadcasting issues,
or any issues in general. Except for I'm sure if the Dota 2 shop went down, they'd fix that right quick, but not this.
So again, Valve's first statement, very ambiguous, but it did say if you are in direct competition with. So if I've got an English broadcast and I've told my advertisers that it's a minor, so we should get about 100,000 views, and I've got Mercedes-Benz sponsoring my event, so they're expecting big things, and I look on Twitch and there's some punk streaming with 15, 20,000 viewers, Mercedes-Benz isn't going to be happy. Facebook is certainly not going to be happy because they just, for all intents and purposes, bought those viewers. So of course I'm going to send a DMCA notice to Twitch. And of course Twitch is going to take it down because Twitch doesn't care. Like, as far as Twitch is concerned, they receive a DMCA notice, they're shutting things down and asking questions later. They do not want to have to deal with that political and legal nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big thing with YouTube several years back, which basically led to all this. And Twitch can't be bothered.
They did what they should, So, and then the second one was there was a the Brazilian broadcasting arm of Beyond the Summit. I guess I really don't understand how that all works, but there is a Beyond the Summit -PR for Portuguese that was streaming the event. Again, same thing from Dota TV. So they weren't using any assets, blah, 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 blah. But they were competing directly with the ESL 1 Portuguese broadcast. And people were saying, why did they shut this down? There wasn't a Portuguese broadcast for the event. Yes, there was. It was on Facebook. It was on live.esl-1.com. It is not ESL 1's fault that you didn't do your research.
Yeah. And the big thing for me is that the statement is deliberately vague. Valve doesn't want to deal with this. They want everybody else to just, figure it out themselves. And that's not happening.
Of course not.
And it's not going to. These, Beyond the Summit is basically in direct competition with everything else. And on that note, we've seen over the years that there is a finite number of Dota 2 fans that are going to watch live. And it's a very finite number. It's a few 100,000 people, depending on the time, depending on the event, depending on who's playing. It's not a huge pool of players. It's not a huge pool of fans to watch. So any event that is live, or any event that has people streaming it live at the same time, are going to be in direct competition, like flat out. There's no other way to look at that. And not only that, but if you are a Grand Grant or an Admiral Bulldog and you stream for an esports team, you're monetized. We discussed this in the last time, or we discussed this in the last video. Alliance, EG, Cloud9 are functionally media companies. They don't make media for free. Everything they do is to leverage their sponsors. And even if they don't make direct money off of Admiral Bulldog streaming ESL 1 Genting, that's still, they're still making money from him streaming. And he's still getting viewers from streaming ESL 1 Genting. And it's silly to expect ESL 1 to be content with basically letting people skim off their profits. I mean, there's no other way to look at this. If you are a Twitch partner, if you are affiliated with an esports team, this is for money. And if you're doing it live at the same time, you're in direct competition. with the official stream, like flat out. And again, we mentioned this last time. This this entire broadcasting situation is not new. It's just that you didn't have to deal with it because everything was, comfortably on Twitch
website.
Yeah,
so it's like the people who didn't like Twitch, who they were VidMe fans or StreamMe or Hitbox or Streambox or YouTube or whatever, and they didn't like Twitch, but they couldn't watch ESL1 broadcasts live on their channel. They had to go to Twitch.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, whatever. That's how an exclusivity contract works. Yep. So again, ESL shuts it down. Everybody pitches a fit because they don't understand how it works. Ryan Morrison wrote this. Was it Ryan? No, it was the other. It was eSports Law wrote this long ass post on Reddit about it. And it was a great comment, and pretty much said, look, this is the way ESL is interpreting it. I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong. That's just how they interpret it. And by the way, copyright law copyright law is complicated as hell.
It is.
So that was that. And then the best thing that I can figure out is that some Valve employee woke up, was drinking his coffee, looking at Reddit, saw all the complaints, and decided to blog about it. But instead of blogging about it on their personal blog, they posted it to the Dota blog. And they said...
They were aggressively unhelpful. They were in your face with how unhelpful they were.
Not only were they aggressively unhelpful, they straight up opened, because of what they say in this, they opened up ESL to a shitload of potential lawsuits. Because ESL was protected. Again, I'm not saying that they'd be successful lawsuits. I'm saying they've been opened up to them. So we've been seeing...
Either way, Valve at the very least put ESL in a very awkward position spot that they shouldn't be in.
Yeah. So we've been seeing a bunch. So this is from blog.dota2.com, Dota TV streaming, dated January 25th, 2018. We've been seeing a bunch of discussion regarding Dota TV and want to expand on what we've said before. The first issue we've been seeing discussed is regarding DMCA notices. This one is very simple. No one besides Valve is allowed to send DMCA notices for games streamed off of Dota TV that are not using the broadcaster's, quote, I'm putting the quotes in here, unique content, parens, camera movements, voice, etc. So I'm going to stop right there. First of all, what the hell? So, yeah, that I have an issue with, but all right, fine. If that's the way that Valve wants to play this, okay, this is unfortunately really the only place where you'll ever really see this, where you can get the raw feed without them intentionally doing it. I know that Hi-Res Studios does it for Smite, but that's for a different reason, and nobody typically hijacks it. But then the second part goes like this. The second issue is regarding who is permitted to cast off of Dota TV. We designed the Dota TV guidelines, the super vague shit from before, to be flexible in order to allow for up-and-coming casters or community figures like BSJ or Bulldog that occasionally watch tournament games on their channel to be able to stream off of Dota TV. It is not to allow commercial organizations to, like BTS, to compete with the primary stream. And then again, the important part, it will be our judgment alone on who violates this guideline and not any other third parties. Pretty much what Valve is saying is we got the big dick. We're going to swing it. The rest of you can go to hell.
Yeah. And I mean, that's basically the worst conceivable way to handle this, because if you're Valve, you have basically outsourced your competitive schedule to other tournament organizers. The Dota Pro circuit is Valve basically washing their hands of other tournaments in order to just pass it on to ESL, PGL, Fallout Gaming, Perfect World, etc., 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 all them. They are in direct competition with one another. They are necessary to keep the Dota 2 Pro schedule going. And
it's also necessary that they compete with each other. Otherwise, they'd get complacent. They wouldn't do, you would see more Summit style stuff or whatever, where it's just plop down on a couch, broadcast it, done. Not saying that that's all that Summit is. They do a lot more, but that at the same time is quite frankly not appropriate for all of your Dota events. There's a reason that they do 2 of them a year, because that way they're little breaks in the action and they're a little bit different and they're fun. They were all of the events, I'd probably rip my eyes out or just stop watching. But point being here is that ESL 1 has been paid by Facebook to have this event be exclusively streamed on their platform. And now ESL 1 has to go and tell them, hey guys, we can't deliver on that promise. And if Facebook has good lawyers, ESL could lose a lot of money on that. Because if the lawyers want to, they could do that. That said, if I'm ESL 1 or if I'm any broadcaster now, because Valve's opened this up to just really hurt anybody, because quite frankly, if you're a broadcaster, if you're a commentator, if you're a streamer, if you're a pro and you weren't invited to a Dota event, you now better be casting that on your personal channel.
Yep.
Just to siphon in any viewers you can. Waga better be doing it when he gets back. Everybody, really. Like, that's what Valve just said, which is whatever. I can't believe that they said that.
Yeah.
So,
okay. If you're ESL, why would you ever even look at Dota at this point? You have no control over your intellectual property. And let's be straight. This is content that they are making. They flew the players out there. They, set up all the tech. They did everything to make this game of Dota a reality.
Well, here's an analogy here. So, FIFA, soccer. No, not disregard. Yeah, FIFA. We'll use FIFA. So FIFA owns competitive professional soccer in a lot of ways. FIFA, like the actual World Cup thing, not anything else. FIFA, if they, because they control all of the rules that most orgs or most tournaments play under, if they showed up at Copa America after the America's Cup said, hey, you can't broadcast this because we have rights with NBC. And FIFA comes along and says, oh, no, it's okay if Fox does a laid-back broadcast of it because we say so. That's effectively what this is this bigger thing that you're kind of operating under, but next to at the same time just walks in and says, hi, no, you're wrong. That just, it defeats the purpose of broadcasting.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you're Fox and you pay for the NFL and CBS, or actually not CBS because they also have, let's say Spike TV or Paramount Network. Let's say Paramount Network because Spike TV is gone now. If you're the Paramount Network and you can just send somebody into the stands with a camera, like, you're going to skim off 700,000 viewers or so, because that's about what, their baseline is for that kind of stuff. That's 700,000 people that aren't watching Foxes. And if you're Fox, the value of owning the NFL rights goes down a bit.
A lot of it.
And then TBS does the same thing, and it goes down more. Then TNT, then AMC, then CBS, then your other local channels, then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The value of having the rights to Dota 2 just got a lot less, and that's not a problem for Valve, but that is a problem for ESL. That is a problem for PGL. That is a problem for all the other tournament organizers. And when you're relying on tournament organizers to keep your pro schedule going, that's the best conceivable way you could kill off your entire game, your entire game's pro scene at once,
if not the entire game itself. Quite frankly,
I mean,
because Dota is tied enough to esports that they could have some serious issues in the future. They make Valve makes so much money off of the international. Because the prize pool and the compendium and all that stuff, that I know for a fact that it pays for a lot of the rest of the year, whether it be their esports investments or otherwise. It pays for a significant amount of their Dota 2 investment. Whether or not they make money elsewhere, it doesn't matter, because they make so much off of it.
Yeah. And I mean, again, if I'm ESL, I see that I no longer have control of my broadcasts effectively. And if I'm Fallout Gaming and I see how Valve handled the Galaxy Battles Major, like I don't see why a tournament organizer would ever, ever, ever go near Dota 2 at this point.
And do note that also means that this could put Counter-Strike at risk.
It probably will.
Because if Valve's doing this to Dota, what's going to stop them from doing it to Counter-Strike? And then, I mean, if TBS hears about this and they think that their E-League stuff is at risk, you know they're going to look for another game. They will go find... I mean, they've invested too much to just kill it, but they're also not going to risk...
Yeah, they'll look elsewhere.
Stuff like this.
And I mean,
they will look elsewhere, or they will find a way to make it work.
The thing is with that, it's kind of different because E-League is actually a league, I believe. Yeah. So there are a lot of different financial stakeholders in it that would be willing to, chip in to make it work.
Well, there's the league. Technically, they're not leagues. They're mini. They're these weird tournaments.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Something.
But that's fine. I don't. They that's how they decided to set it up. I mean, they're running a major right now for Valve in Counter-Strike. But point being is that, okay, we've talked about how this hurts them. What can they do to help themselves? And there's a couple options here. The first is you run an event where your LAN server is offline. Because these events are hosted on a LAN server. They are given there is a LAN build for Dota that you can download, and it's a server for Dota that you can host on the network, blah, 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 whatever. For a tournament, that Dota server also broadcasts out to the Dota network. All that you have to do to not have a Dota TV feed and to not have all that shit, one button. Just unplug one button, one cord. Unplug that shit from the outside. Bam, done. Now, there's going to be some problems and everything else, but you could do it. Another thing they could do is they could look and try and make the Dota TV delay as long as possible. Albeit it's only about 10 minutes right now that we know of, but I am sure that somebody like Layerth or another one of those companies that has worked on the Dota API before could find a way to hack a Dota LAN server and make the Dota TV buffer a 30-minute buffer instead of a 5 or 10-minute buffer.
Yeah.
So then when you're broadcasting it on Twitch, you're 30 minutes late.
Yeah, either way, these are not hoops that an organizer should have to jump through. Straight up.
Also, they're not easy to jump through either.
Yeah,
this is not asking you to jump through a fiery hoop while you are coated in oil.
Yeah. I mean, if I am ESL, I mean, I've already got Katowice lined up, and I think they have another event later in the year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done after that with Dota, straight up. There are, Namco Bandai. They're willing to play ball with ESL in terms of running a Tekken event instead,
or a Dragon Ball event. Dude, DBFZ is massive right now.
Yeah.
Why would you not be looking to leverage that? It is Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball is pretty cool. The game, not the show. Like,
please don't rant about that now. Please don't. Not right now.
I'm not.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking because I.
But the game, yeah, Arc Systems make good games.
Yep.
But yeah, if I'm looking up the schedule for the DPC, but yeah, if I'm ESL, I'm just not bothering with Dota. It's like, or if I'm a GESC or if I'm any kind of tournament organizer that's either having issues with Dota 2 or could have issues with Valve in the future, I'm just not bothering. Like the live or the viewership you get from Dota 2 isn't so huge that you kind of have to do it. And yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. You don't get control of your broadcasts. You don't have a reliable deal with Valve in terms of making your events happen if you are in the DPC. Like, I don't get why anybody would even bother dealing with Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you bother to get into Dota 2? And the best case scenario is you get yourself a nice cushy TV deal with Facebook, and the fans bitch a lot. Like, there's no winning if you're running a Dota 2 event.
Nope.
I don't see why you would bother with it. And
I hate to say it, but I agree.
And if ESL hasn't learned it yet, they're probably going to learn it soon. Like, there's no point in running a Dota 2 event. And again, if you want to kill Dota 2, you're going to kill off the pro scene, because a lot of Dota 2 is tied to the pro scene. And if you want to kill off the pro scene, the best way is to kill off tournament organizers. Hypothetically, Valve could, bring back its own major system kind of thing again, where it does the Manila major, Shanghai major, Boston major, et cetera, et cetera.
They still had to hire out organizers for that, though.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I'm sure, there
will always be somebody who goes, okay, you know what? Fine, we'll take your money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, PGL very active in Dota 2 right now, and they did run most of the majors. And they did a very good job in general. But still, that's a financial investment that I'm not sure Valve would be willing to make at this point. Like, if the fact that they outsourced their competitive schedule suggests that Valve is in a cost-cutting mode when it comes to Dota 2. So, yeah, I don't see how. Like I said, I don't see why you would buy into Dota 2 if you're a tournament organizer, and I don't see why you would stick around if you're a tournament organizer that is already in Dota 2. And that's bad for the game. That's bad for the game, because you're not going to be able to keep Dota 2 going or growing with this. And that, yeah, not good.
Not at all. So that's, the super short version, if you weren't really paying attention, is Valve made some of the, they really did some very lasting impact or lasting damage, I assume. I would love to be wrong. I would love for something to not come of this. But several commentators pointed out that they could, according to Valve's rules, become a full-time streamer, stream all the time, and then just have community watching parties from Dota TV and cast semi-casually or fully full on in some way or another on their personal channels and make more money than they do right now, or comparable money, and at least they wouldn't be traveling. Cap said straight up, hey, I could just hang out at my house and Blitz and I can just cast from our bedrooms and make the same amount of money if we're just full-time streaming. And then I don't have to worry about travel, so I can see, my significant other more, or my friends more, or whatever. Think about that. When the commentators who rely on this are saying, yeah, I could do that now, according to what Valve said, that's a problem.
Yeah, and it's going to be a problem. It might not end up being a huge problem now, but this is an issue, and it's going to impact Dota 2's growth. And when Dota 2 is already on the decline a bit, it's not good. It's not good, man. Nope. And on top of that, the kicker to all this is that if you watch the E-League Major, what's the first effing thing you see when they're actually in game?
I just totally blanked on what you see when you're team names, team logos. And when you launch Dota?
No, when you watch Counter-Strike.
I'm sorry. You see.
But yes, you do see team names and team logos in stickers all over their guns.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. When you were talking about that, my mind glazed over to when you're launching a Dota game, and it's like that stupid new anime style intro.
I actually like the stupid new anime style.
Intro. I do too. But anyways.
Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike
faster esports everywhere.
Yeah, Counter-Strike has so many different options to monetize your event. Dota 2 ain't got none of them.
And I'm not saying that you should put stickers on your Dota characters. Please don't do that. But like, there's got to be a way to do some of that shit again.
Well,
Like in Dota. Like,
there absolutely is. You bring back compendiums, you bring back tickets, you bring back hell. I mean, if an absolute game changer for Dota 2 would be if, you know, the game starts up, they have like a freaking Monster Energy. You have the ability to put a Monster Energy logo on your ancient or near your ancient, or replace or replace some of the statues with a Monster Energy.
You could totally do that.
I mean, that would be, you know, that would be the kind of thing that would attract sponsors to events. And when you have sponsors attracted to events, that's how you get events to happen.
Definitely. And if it's an in-game advertising offer, which Counter-Strike doesn't do great with, I will admit that. You know, Counter-Strike doesn't have, I mean, part of it is because Dota teams have gotten really good at it. They've gone from just, hey, here's our logo, to like EG's logo, which used to just be the EG that filled up the entire circle.
Yeah.
And they've shrunk it and now have all the other sponsors around it. Looks okay, but you know, whatever. And
OG is the best example.
Counter-Strike, none of that. That's why players have sponsors in their names, because there's nowhere else to put it. But like, really, I love that idea of, hey, we will give you the ability to import whatever. And if you are a major event, like say you're a major or a minor, you can import those into the actual Dota client. So in Dota TV, if you are sponsored by Nissin Cup Noodles and you wanted to make some of your effigies Nissin Cup Noodles, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, this is $1 million idea straight up. We shouldn't be giving this away for free. But yeah, that would add inescapable value to an esports event for different sponsors.
Yep. You could change the loading screen instead of it being, you know, the two teams, which is fine. I think it's a good little thing. Instead of being that, you could do the cut of
the
esports events logo.
Man, we're good.
Like I said, we're not even good though. These are basic things.
Okay, but
yes, they're good ideas, but they are also still very I mean, when TF2 did some of these things forever ago, like, come on. If their community can do this shit, Valve can do this shit.
Yeah. So there are, anyway, going back, there are a zillion different options in terms of making Dota 2 events profitable regardless of this kind of shit.
Yep.
Between the tickets, between the compendiums, between all that other kind of in-game stuff, between adding different ways to make sponsors an inescapable part of the actual tournament broadcast regardless of platform. And Valve ain't done none of them.
Nope.
And unless that changes, like I said, if I'm a tournament organizer, I don't give two craps about Dota 2. And if I'm a tournament organizer who's working in Dota 2, once that lease is up, I'm out of there.
Yeah, really.
So, anything else we want to say on this?
Nope. I'm getting ready to start farming out our ideas.
All right. Quick thought. Everybody, quick complaint about how Ohio got kicked off of Fnatic.
It sucked. It did.
It absolutely.
And if you want to meme about the pizza party, meme about the pizza party.
Okay, I love the I hate memes in general, but that pizza party meme is awesome. I love it. But yeah, I mean, welcome to sports. You play to win the game. You don't play to keep your star player happy. You know what I mean? I mean, Tim Tebow brought the freaking Tim Tebow brought the Denver Broncos to the second round of the NFL playoffs in his first season as a starter. He ended up, and not only that, but he like perfectly executed the play that got them to the second round of the playoffs. But when Peyton Manning motherfucking comes available in free agency, they took him by the belt and the collar and they threw him out of the training center. And he felt bad about it. I guarantee you, a lot of fans felt bad about it. But they did it. They didn't give a shit, and then they won a Super Bowl. Like, welcome to sports. the cold reality is that the only thing that matters is winning. Ohio's feelings, not even a distant second.
Now, when you the comedy here for me, and this will be the last thing that I say, and then we'll wrap up here, is who's on that team? Who is the chief drama monger on that team?
Eternal Envy. Jackie Mao.
Sama, who is the king of complaining about how he gets kicked off of teams? Pro tip, we just said his name.
PPD.
Ooh. Okay, who is the queen of... No, in all seriousness. In all seriousness...
Hashtag gendered insult.
Look at... I mean, I could see EE and PPD hooking up to be a power couple someday. But no, in all seriousness, I could... Like,
their children would be very
Eternal
good.
Envy makes a... Like, makes a very strong case for being one of those people who is known for complaining about how teams treated him. And he now has twice just punted somebody off of his team rather unceremoniously. So,
I mean, in defense of EE, the Fnatic's basic statement on this was, look, this is just how it shook out between how the qualifiers line up and Valve just kind of springing on us that this is the end of the roster change season. And that's completely justified. I mean, I bash on Valve a lot. And yeah, this is another one you can chalk up to Valve. Like, why don't all the teams know when the roster changes are up at the beginning of the fucking season, like in any other non-Bush League ass sport?
Because Valve doesn't know.
Because Valve don't know shit. Yeah, so, like I said, I feel you if you feel bad for Ohio. I feel you if you are Ohio. I feel you in terms of not liking it. But again, this is sports, and you play to win the game. You don't play to have fun. You don't play to keep people happy. You play to win the game, and they feel like they can win the game better if they got Universe instead of Ohio, and they're probably right. Not necessarily, and that's not to say Ohio is bad, but if they feel like Universe is a straight-up upgrade, which you can make a strong case for, then if you are Fnatic, you have an obligation to your sponsors and other stakeholders to win the effing game. End of discussion. So, disagree, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike, and shove it up your ass.
I'm going to go with, you can dislike it. Please, by all means, do, though. Comment, let us know why you disagree.
Oh, and follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, sure, follow us on Twitter. Tweet at us. Well, Well, if you will politely engage us in conversation, by all means, tweet at us. But if you start cussing me out on Twitter, I'm just going to mute you or block you. Depends.
I personally prefer muting.
Yeah, because then they can keep yelling and they don't realize.
Yeah, there's such a sadistic satisfaction in knowing that you're untouchable and they can just it's like the internet equivalent of just like putting your hand on their forehead and then like swinging at you, not able to reach you. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels good. If it's blocked, then it's just done.
Yeah.
And blocking serves its purpose, obviously, but for my own personal satisfaction, I like muting. Anyway, yeah. Everybody have a great weekend. Royal Rumble tonight. And Super Bowl next week. Go Patriots. Fuck whatever shitty team you like.